Hello again, this is Engineer Louie Alcarde from Midas IT Philippines, and today naman po I will be teaching you on how to uh, do Gen Application 1, which is a steel structure with SRC columns. Dito po we will be tackling about on the optimized design functions which are used in Midas Gen. Now, this is going to be the first part of a three-part video. This is going to be the modeling. So I hope that you will be watching the other two videos as well. And I um, I hope that you have learned the other tutorials that we have posted in our YouTube channel, tutorials 1 to 4. After going through all that, I'm sure na makakasabay na po kayo dito sa ating Gen Application 1, which is, by the way, an intermediate session already. So this is not going to be some basic session. Uh, it has, it requires po, experience na in using Midas Gen. So, but regardless, it's pretty easy. So makakasunod pa rin po kayo if you watch this video. Now, after I have opened a new file here and have saved the file already as Gen App 1, we can now begin with our modeling. Now, unlike other tutorials, we will now begin with properties, with our properties tabs, assuming na alam na po natin itong mga functions ng mga tabs na nandito after 4 basic tutorials. So, here we go. We go with properties tabs and we go to click on material properties. We will first define our materials that we will use in this project. Now, material ID number 1, papangalanan po natin itong girder. Gagamitin po nating design is steel. And ang standard naman is ASTMS. That's for ASTM steel. And we will be using from the database A36 steel. And we can click on apply after making sure that all of those information are already input. So name naman for the second material is gonna be we're gonna call it steel column. Steel pa rin po siya, ASTMS, but this time from the database we will be using A572-50. And we can click on apply. Now for the third material naman, this is going to be a little different from the first two materials that we used. We will be naming it SRC column. As promised, we will be using SRC columns in this particular project. And syempre, since SRC column siya, we will be using SRC in the type of design. And we are asked the standard being used for the steel and standard being used for the concrete here. Let's go first to steel. Again, we will be using ASTMS. And the database naman, from the database, we will be using A572-50 pa rin. And for concrete naman, still ASTM but RC this time. And the database naman we will be using grade C 4000 concrete, that means 4000 PSI. So after doing that, we click on apply, and for our last material ID number 4, we will name it brace. Like all braces, we will be using steel dito. ASTMS pa rin po, and database we will be using A36 steel. And since this is the last material that we are going to use, we can just click on OK instead of apply. So just click on OK, and we have our 4 materials in here. We can also check these materials in our works tree. Here sa ating works tree, mapapansin po natin na kulay blue pa po siya. That means we do not have any of those materials in our model so far. So because we do not have any model yet, which we will be doing any minute. Now we go to our sections. This is going to be a little tedious for us to follow, but I will be slow on this. Section ID, we will begin with section ID number 221. We will be naming this SG1. I section po yung gagamitin natin, and from the database, we will be using AISC. And section name naman for this one is going to be W24 by 76, and we click apply. After that, section ID number 222, we will be naming this SG2. Ganun pa rin po, AISC, I section, but the section name for this one is W18 by 55, and click apply. For section ID number 223, SG3, section name still W18 by 55, we don't have to change that, so just click on apply. For section ID number 224, we'll be using SG4. Section name, this is W12 by 136, click apply. For section ID 225, it goes on. SG5, section name for this is W24 by 103. Oops, 24 by 103. Click apply. For section 226, we will be using, we will be naming it SG6. Ito na po yung last for this section ID. W18 by 86, and click apply. Now we go to change our section ID. This next section ID will be 231. Pangalan naman po is SB1. AISC pa rin, but the section name is gonna change to W12 by 26. Click apply. Next, section ID number 241, we will name it SG1A. Section name naman for this section is W12 by 53. Click on apply, and our last section finally we will be naming it section ID 243. It's SG3A AISC. Section name is W24 by 76. And since this is the last section that we will add in our work, then we can just click on OK. So as we can see here, we have 9 sections, as we can also check in our workstream. Again, naka-blue pa po sila because there are no sections used. There are no sections in this area that is being used in our model. So we can just close this. Now what we will do next is we will now use the frame wizard of Midas Gen. We go to structures, base structures, and select frame. Dito naman we have 3 tabs. It's called input, edit, and insert. Sa input, we will be inputting the coordinates and the distances of the frame that we want to do. So distance for the first on the x direction is 12 meters, which will be repeated 3 times. So let's click on add x coordinate. And for the z coordinate naman, we will be using 10.8. We will repeat that 2 times, add z. Another 6 meters, which will be repeated only 1 time, add. And lastly, 10.8, which will be repeated only once, and add z. After making sure na meron na po tayo nito, we will now go to the edit tab. And sa edit tab naman, material na gagamitin natin dito is the first material, which is the girder. Section naman, we'll be using section 221. And ang beta angle na gagamitin is 90 degrees. And after making sure na itong tatlo na select na, we will generate our frame. Now this is our the frame that we have generated. Last na lang po, we will insert. Dito po sa insert tab, this is where we want to insert this frame, this point in the frame in our model view. So for our insert point, we will be choosing 006. That means it will be put in the universal coordinate system at 0 on the x, 0 on the y, but 6 meters on the z direction, on the level direction. And let's make sure, not forget, alpha is 90 degrees. And origin point is ito po. This is the origin point 1. We have the choice to do that, but we will be using point 1 lamang po as our origin point. After making sure that all of those are met, we go now to click on apply, and we can see here that we have already generated our frame. As you can see, meron na po tayong naka-block na po yung girder. That means that in the model view, we already have a girder. And for the section naman, we already have SG1, which is being used in this frame. So after making sure of that, we go now to our top view, and we display our node numbers. So there you go. After that, we now go to the node and element tabs, and let's create elements within these frame. Make sure after making sure ng general beam or tapered beam, material na gagamitin is girder, and the section na gagamitin for this first element that we will create is element number 226. And let's click on nodal connectivity, and we will create the first element between nodes 2 and 5. So there you go. We already have element 226 assigned in our model here. The next is we do not have to change anything in here except for the section number. This time we will use section number 222. We will create element number 33. You see, we already have 32 elements here. And we will create element number 33 in between nodes 10 and 11 to between the nodes 14 and 15. So there. And last but not the least, we will be creating section number 231, nodal connectivity. We will create element number 36 between 1021 and 1422. So there you go. After creating those materials, we would want to delete these elements here by just selecting those elements and clicking on delete element here. Type by selection, check free nodes with free nodes, and click on apply. So there you go, we have our frame. After that, we can turn off the node numbers and what we can do next is we can display also the material property, because we will be needing that. Dito sa display, click on property and check property name, click on apply and OK. So we have our section property names indicated already in our model. Okay, so after doing that, we would want to change some of the properties na nakalagay sa ating frame. So we will begin by highlighting or selecting these elements. Those elements will be changing them into something new, and this time we'll be using SG3 section number 223. So how do we change that? We just, after selecting them, we just drag and drop 223 galing dito sa workstree papunta po dito sa ating model view. So just drag and drop. After dropping, we can see the changes in the property name. It is already SG3 and this is already SG3. Now for the next one, we will be selecting these because these naman we will be turning into SG4. So ganun pa rin po, drag and drop. And there you go, SG4. For this one, these elements here, we will be changing that into SG5. And last but not the least, this one, we'll be changing that into SG3A. So there you go. We already have changed the property names or the properties of the members within our frame. So we are now ready to move on to our next activity. So what we can do now is we go back to our structure tabs, go to user coordinate system, and we click on the XY plane. Dito naman, we will have to make a coordinate system on our own since user coordinate system po siya. Ang origin po ng coordinate system na ito is gonna be 36, 10.8, and 6. You will witness later kung saan po yan banda. The angle naman, we will be putting -30 because we will be rotating our user coordinate system 30 degrees clockwise. After that, making sure na na-input na po ito, we will be clicking on apply. So there you go, that is the origin of our user coordinate system already. We are now using the user coordinate system and we can close this. Now after doing this, we now define our line grid. Now those na hindi po familiar sa line grid, this is the time na makakagamit po tayo nito. So define line grid, click on add. Papangalanan po natin ang grid na ito na skew plane. And for the X direction, X grid lines, make sure na naka-relative. We'll begin with 0, add another 1, 12, and add another one which is 24. We all have that. Next, for the Y grid lines, make sure na naka-absolute. We'll begin with -10. Click on OK. Add absolute pa rin, 0. Add absolute 10.8. Add absolute 16.8. Lastly, add absolute 27.6. Click on OK. So after making sure that all of these grid lines are already here, we can now click on OK and apply. So there you go, we already have this type of line grid in our user coordinate system. You can just close. After that, we go back to creating elements. After creating elements, making sure general tapered beam, girder pa rin po ang gagamitin. We will begin with using 221 and let's turn on the node numbers again. We will be creating these materials here. Okay. Another one pa pala dito. 16 to 20. Okay. So those are all the SG1s that we want to create. Now next is we will go to 241 naman this time. And we will create that in between nodes 20 to 31. That's SG1A. Section number 222. Now for section number 222, we will be creating that in here. There. Let's go now to section number 243, SG3A. We will be doing that 27 to 29. For 224 naman, let's do that in 8 to 27. And of course, from here to the end. There you go. For 225 naman, 225, we will be selecting 25 to 26, 26 to 28, and 30 to 32. This one is gonna be for 223. 223. This one and 'and that one. Okay. For SG3, we'll be creating this, and we will change some of the sections. Ito gagawin po nating SG4, and ito naman gagawin nating SG3A. So after making sure that we have created all those members in there, there's a tiny problem in here that we need to solve. We need to take care of by selecting that member and deleting it, and it's solved. Kasi hindi kanina po kasi sa pag-click, nagsasnap po siya dun sa intersection ng grid lines, not on the intersection of the members. So that's taken care of. After doing that, we can now turn off our node numbers and of course our property names para hindi po masyadong magulo. But we can turn on our element numbers so that we can identify the elements by their number. Okay, so we will select element number 36. After making sure that it is selected, we now go to our boundary tabs and select beam and release. Kailangan lang po natin gawin is to click on pin and apply. So we can see in our works tree that we already have one beam and release, which is represented by those green dots there, and we can choose to undisplay them. Now after this, we go now to importing material properties. So we go to properties, our section properties, and click on import. We can import material properties from this one. So actually you can see this in your installation folders, application 1, and you can just import, click on open, just click on all and click on OK. We can see that we have 77 sections altogether in this project. Now after we have imported the section from our installation folder, we can just close this And what we can do next is to select all of our model there. And let's go back to node and element tabs and extrude. Now sa extrude type naman, we'll be extruding a node to line element. Girder pa rin po, but this time we will be using 101C1 and dx dy dz, that is 0 0 -6, because we want the columns to be 6 meters high, and repeat number of times is 1, and click on apply. There you go. We have created from the nodes, we have created columns which are all C1. So after doing that, we want to activate only those columns. So right click on 101C1 here and choose to active. Tapo tayo sa top view, and we would want to delete these two in here kasi hindi po sila parte ng mga gusto nating lagyan ng columns. So delete and apply. There you go. But we still have nodes in there. Huwag po tayong mag-alala. It's part of the model po talaga. And after doing that, we turn back our property name on. So apply and OK. What we will do is to drag and drop lang naman, so that we will be changing some of the columns in here. So so this one and this one and that one also, we will be, that is C4. We will assign C4. So let's choose the first one, 401 C4. Drag and drop. Another, itong dalawa dito, those are C3. Drag and drop. Ito namang dalawa dito sa taas. We will change them into C2. And ito naman, we will change those two into C1A. Itong dalawa is C3A. Dito naman sa baba, we will be changing them into C2A. Dito naman sa pinakababa, we will change this 3, itong tatlo, into C6. Yep. Then this one is C4A. These two, C3A pa rin. Ito naman dito sa taas, those two, those are C6. Itong apat sa gitna, change that to C5. Yung isa dito, this is C5A. Ito naman tatlo, ito sa gitna, they are gonna be C6 as well. And itong dalawa in the corners, they are C7. There you go. We have changed our columns already, but we are not done yet with them. What we will do is we have to make sure na itong mga columns na ito are assigned or identified as steel column or SRC column. So we'll do it the manual way. Activate, select all, and then since these are SRC columns, as you can see, because those are SRC columns, just drag and drop SRC column in here, and they will be analyzed as SRC columns now. For C1A naman, activate, since these are SRC columns pa rin, drag and drop. For C2, SRC columns, drag and drop. C2A, active, SRC columns, drag and drop. For C3 naman, activate, since SRC columns pa rin sila, SRC columns pa rin yung ita-drag and drop natin. That's C3. Next is C3A. Here are all SRC columns. SRC. C4. Still SRC. C4. Next is C4A. Another SRC column. Next one is C5. Since these are not SRC columns anymore, but rather steel columns, after highlighting them, we will drag and drop steel column. That's for C5. Now for C5A naman, let's check if it's an SRC or a steel column. But there you go, it is a steel column, as you can see. So drag and drop steel column. C5A, let's go to C6. Those are all steel columns. So steel column. Lastly, for C7, steel columns pa rin. And steel column. There you go. We have we have identified which columns are steel and which columns are steel reinforced concrete. After doing that is we will just activate all. We go to our front view, we select these and activate them again, since we only want to see yung ating columns muna. And we will select these elements here. Okay, follow na lang po. All those elements are selected, and we will change element parameters. Anong element parameters ang gusto nating i-change? Yung element local axis. Beta angle na we will use is 60 degrees. And we click apply. Now for the last two elements, ito, it will be still parehas pa rin, parameter type element local axis. But we want to change our beta angle to -30 instead of 60, and we click apply. Now that's done. We can now activate all and zoom in to this portion here. Pwede na po nating i-off yung property name, and if you're zooming in here, pwede po tayong gumawa ng trusses na this time. So we will create elements. Element type should be a truss. Element material is brace, and we will use 1001 BR1 and create these elements here. There. Now lastly, for 2001 BR2, we will create the elements here. There you go. Now, After making sure now we have put that into order, we now select all because we will now generate our structure. Going to building generation, we want 2 copies of 5 meters on the global Z direction. Let's click on add. Another one is we will have 6 copies of 3.8 meters high. Click on add. Lastly, another 6 copies of 4.2 meters high and click on add. Now that all of those information are in there, we can just click on apply and see that we have created our model already. Now after doing that, we will be changing from UCS, since we are still using our user coordinate system that we have set earlier. We will be going back to our global coordinate system, so you can see there, and we can go to the top. We want to select these elements. Ito po sila. Lahat po nang nandyan except this. So after selecting that, we go to our front view, and we'll be unselecting by window the first 4 floors. Select this, unselect, and you can choose to delete those elements and click apply. And we can see that this is now our model. Now after doing that is we now go to we want to name a plane. Name plane. Papangalanan natin itong B. We will use the XY, the XZ plane. And in the Y position, we will put 10.8 there. And click on add. And there you go. We have these elements as being part of that particular plane on the XZ plane, which is 10.8 meters on the positive Y direction. So you can just choose to unselect this, go back to our top view, and select these elements here. After making sure that they are selected, let's go to the right view and select by window itong mga nasa baba. Let's leave everything sa taas na selected, and we will change these elements there into section number 523, which is SG3. So drag and drop. There you go, we have changed those. We go back to our top view and select these elements again. I mean, not again, but these elements. Again, right view, select by window, and unselect the bottom part. And making sure na yun lang kung mga nasa taas ang select. And this one naman we will change into 525 SG5. So there you go. We have changed the element sections of our model. We can now go to our story data. We will auto-generate our story data and click OK. And then close. Pwede po nating i-on yung ating story name. Click apply and OK. So we have 15 floors and a roof in here. Now we want to activate naman our name plane by doing this. Activate by identifying. Name plane, we choose B, yung pinangalan natin kanina. Click on activate and close. Let's go to our front view because we will be selecting everything from the roof to our 5th floor. There you go. After doing that, we will now extrude elements. Now in extruding extruding elements, we will extrude from node to line element, beam, girder. We will be using section number 571 for this, and dy we will change that to -1.2 because we want to extrude the nodes in here to the -1.2 direction on y direction. Number of times is only 1, and click on apply. So actually we can see here in our model that we have created those elements by extruding 1.2 meters on the -y direction. Now, after doing that is we will now again create elements. Now, in creating elements, we must make sure ng element type na gagamitin natin is general beam or tapered beam. Girder pa rin po siya, but we will use section number 532. And then we will be creating the first set in here, in the 5th floor. There you go. We have created those elements. Before translating them paakyat, we must select them because we want a beam and release in here in them. So we select, go to boundary, beam and release, and click on pin, click on apply. Now we can see here that we have 18 beam and releases already. We can choose to display them. As you can see, they are represented by those green dots again, and on display. Now after that, we make sure to select them again, and after selecting them again, we want to translate them. Let's go to element, translate elements. Now in translating, we will not use equal distance but unequal distance on the z direction. Distance is 5 meters at 3.8 and 6 meters at 6 times at 4.2 meters. And after that, we make sure that we copy the node attributes and element attributes of those dun sa i-translate natin paakyat. And after making sure that those are already checked, we can click now on apply. Now we can see that we have 51 beam and releases. If we choose to display them, makikita po natin yan dito. There. And choose to undisplay. Activate all. And that's it. We are now done with our modeling part. And I hope to see you on the next video, which is the loading combinations. So I'll see you there. Thank you for watching the first video of this 3-part video tutorial for Gen Application 1. Have a good day.